And we are live, Jane.
Are we?
We are live indeed. Just when Boo is about to jump up on the table
He's got all these
any
toys
moment
over
now.
there.
So we're looking down under the table. Well, hi again, everyone. Thanks for joining us. We're going to talk tonight. We're going to say hello to everybody first, but just to give you the top end, what the subject's going to be. We're going to be talking about what happens to babies when they die, and particularly in the light of what's happened with Meghan.
That's right.
I always call him Meghan Markle rather than Markle. And we're going to talk all about that. So and there's obviously a lot of controversy around a lot of these topics here, a lot of sensitive issues as well. So obviously, should make quite an interesting evening, I think, Jane.
I think it will.
Yeah. So we'll say hello to everybody first as you come and give everybody a bit of a time to come online.
I can't see the monitor.
So I'm going to just enlarge the screen a bit so you can see.
Right. Okay.
So hi, Neil.
There's Neil.
Yeah. Hi there, Neil. Hi, everyone, from Neil.
Graham Brooks. Hello from Surrey.
Hi there, Graham. And tell us where you're coming from, what time it is, anything you want to say, any witty remarks.
Jonathan Blair. Good evening from Jonathan and Folkestone.
So we've got quite a lot of the English people here at the moment. Obviously, this topic is
Patrice
quite good for
from
the
Germany.
English. From Germany.
Hi, Patrice. Lovely to see you again.
And do you all love Meghan over there? Yes.
Lorraine from Wareham, Dorset.
Hi there, Lorraine.
Agility Bits.
Now, don't take a psychic to tell you the Agility Bits is going to be on.
Yeah, I don't think they've got it so bad down in Cornwall.
Viv. Hi, Jane and Craig. Viv female or Viv male? Angie, hello from Ashford in Kent.
Yeah, I like Kent.
And Laurie Owens, hi again from Wyoming. Yes, it always comes up the Wyoming. I've never been to Wyoming. That's cowboy land, isn't it?
Mary Lee from Sweden. Hello,
that's
Mary.
Definitely not cowboy land. And Teresa Talbot from Canada. As you're joining, remembering we're going to be talking about what happens to children in the afterlife, particularly babies.
Julie. Say hello to Julie.
Hi there, Julie. Just having to reduce the screen a little bit because you're running a long message. Nice to see you again. I'm here again with your glass of wine.
No, with her glass of wine.
With your
not your
glass
of wine. We've got water.
Or gin. You don't know.
Carlo from Italy.
Hi there,
lovely.
Carlo. Nice to see you. We gather some ice cream around here by a person called Carlo from Italy. Lita, hi everyone from Toronto. Nice to see you again. And Lisa Parr saying hiya from Milton Keynes.
Hi, Lisa.
We got anyone from India today? We got anyone from the Americas? Good afternoon from Missouri, USA.
Lisa.
And hi from Ottawa, Canada. We have a lot of you following us from Canada. Sophia from Colorado, USA. So we've got quite a lot of the states joining already. And from Ohio, Susan Bannister. I think we had you last time, Susan, didn't we? I seem to remember. I think we did. Anyway, it's nice to see you anyway.
Oh, from Australia.
Eastern Australia, 6:01 a.m.
in the morning.
So you're lazy, aren't you, getting up so
Not
late?
Lazy. Gosh, that's so rude.
Getting up at 6 o'clock. That's God. I'm always up at 4.
You don't function till 11.
From Kentucky, 2 p.m. at our time, says Ginger Tea.
Ginger Tea, I love it.
Sounds a good idea too. Marie Burnham saying hello from Norwich, UK. And don't forget, start having a few thoughts about what you want to ask us too on this topic tonight. Hello from New York from Janice Bing. Friend of Google, I expect. Viv Lane, female. You're female. For female Viv, yes, we've got a female Viv in our family.
You're thinking of that singer, Vivian.
Well, yeah, like Vivian, you can have it spelt differently. Cameron Hickman, hello from Yorkshire. York Bargum champion lad.
Gosh.
Linda Lamari, hello from Cyprus. Fascinating to think everybody's sat all around the world watching us and having us joining in the conversation.
Well, it's nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's lockdown.
No, RX Essie, hi from California. California, so you've got both sides of the states online at the same time. Must be quite late there,
right.
I should think.
Kelly from, what is it? Hi, Jane and Craig from Kelly and Leslie.
From Bognor Regis, that's just down the road.
DVD, your family.
And Nana Rosebud, hi from Tottonia.
Totten.
Tottonia.
No.
Tottonia.
There is a Nana.
I don't know where Tottonia is unless it's Totten.
Totten.
Hi guys from Rushington, West Wessex.
Hi, John.
Hi there, John. Yeah, well, nice of you all to be joining us.
Jan.
I was late, so clicked on video and started typing my comment. Then you said my name. Psychical what?
Definitely.
Now, it was last week's live. Oh, okay. Yeah, right. So very strange. It was the same outfit. Yeah, we're dressed much the same. You see, I can't afford.
No, this is a different
I
outfit.
can't afford lots of different clothes. I spend all
It's
my
worse than
clothes
me.
money on my wife.
No, you do not.
Blodwyn saying hi from Bristol.
Michelle. Lovely. Oh, it's nice.
Bonacera, Craig and Jane. That
Bonacera.
lovely lady Jane.
Yes, and don't you forget it, Craig.
Nice to see you again. I'm now on your second book and have a lot of questions. Oh, good. Well, you're welcome to ask me them tonight. Depends on what my second book one is. I've got quite a few out there now. Hello from Torquay, Sam. Nice to see you, Sam. Thanks for joining us. And PG Brexit. Oh, I've remember your name from before. Hi from the hills of Yorkshire. We nearly went to Yorkshire this year, didn't we? We wanted to do a hike down there. The Peak District is kind of slightly different, but yeah, they're both similar area. Namaste from New Delhi, India, says Chandni.
Namaste.
Namaste to you. And Susie's saying here from North Carolina. They're all song names, aren't they?
It's water in there.
I don't know. I'm beginning to doubt it. I think it's Kool-Aid. Paul Levy saying hi, Paul and Kate from Eastleigh. Oh, well, they're close by, of course.
Yeah,
the Facebooks, because you can join us always from Facebook
it's
or
Jason.
from YouTube, of course.
Yay, made
it. You keep trying to make it, don't you? I'd seen your messages before. Yeah, but mind you, in Australia, to make it from Australia, it takes a bit of doing. So like we were saying, about 6 o'clock in the morning. And another Viv Lean saying, I'm currently reading your book, What to Do When You're Dead. You mean this one? I'm going to plug it later. Okay, well, today's topic, as you can see on the screen, is Meghan Markle and her miscarriage. It's obviously been in the news a lot. And it's obviously we thought, well, we were trying to think of a topic, and Jane came up with this one today, didn't you? Because when we so what happens to babies when they die is the subheading for this, because we get a lot of people with our work, don't we, who've lost children and lost babies.
I have Winchester Hospital that actually send me people that have lost babies, and I can talk from my personal experience. When I was 4 months pregnant, I was rushed into hospital and they thought I was going to lose my baby. And I had to have a serious operation, didn't I? Which they removed fallopian tube and ovary.
This time of year too, because you were actually in over Christmas for all this, I remember.
Yeah.
And it was a close call.
Right.
Fortunately, you were okay.
We believe that babies, when they go over and they don't fulfill their earthly lives, they go over and lots of people believe they're shelved and that, but I believe they meet surrogate mothers that actually they look after them and they grow in the spirit realm. And it's wonderful when relatives bring them back and give the child's name, how they passed, and what they're doing in the spirit world. I don't know what your views are on that, Craig.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's lots of thoughts we can sort of throw out on this, actually, because spiritualism has a lot to say about it, because there's lots of mediums in the world, and obviously they all start getting messages, and often you obviously get a lot of times when you're trying to help bereave people who've lost children and lost babies, and the questions come up time and time again, and there's quite a lot of similarities between what mediums have said, really, isn't there? Which kind of gives us a more than an opinion, because the spirit will give us little messages. They give you messages through your own mediumship. They give you messages through trance mediums and physical mediums. And so there's quite a lot of collaborated
and
thoughts about
spirit
this.
children, they do grow, and they actually do reach out to their earthly parents, and they give private messages. I mean, Doris Stokes, the late Doris Stokes, she had a poem she used to read about babies playing with castles.
Yeah, well, Doris Stokes, she lost child, didn't
Yes,
she?
Michael John.
And was it born? The
Yes,
child?
of course it was.
I can't remember because it's a long time since I read it now.
Michael John.
Yeah, and so that obviously played on her mind. In fact, encouraged her to become a medium. One of the reasons she wanted to help.
It's strange because I've noticed with all the females that are mediums, they've been nurses or very caring.
Yeah,
profession.
I think there's a strong connection between mediumship and healing arts, and because they come from the same energy, and I suppose people get drawn into healing arts.
Yeah,
and also between creativity as well, because a lot of people come from creative
getting
backgrounds.
Back to Meghan, it's still sad for anyone that loses a baby, whether that's the 6 weeks, 8 weeks, because they're looking forward to actually. I know a lot of people think she's a very much attention seeker, but she's still a female that's gone through those emotions.
Yeah.
Whatever labels you put.
Well,
on
we can
her.
We'll talk about Meghan a little bit as we move on,
Okay.
I think. But let's give people thoughts about what happens to children and babies when they die. Now, there was a famous trance medium called forgotten his name. Silver Birches. Yeah, Maurice Barbanel. I wasn't sure it was Maurice Barbanel or Harold Swaffer. I can't remember. But there was the spirit guide Silver Birch used to speak through and became very, very famous within spiritualism for some very wise words that were said. And one of the things that was asked of Silver Birch is, when does the soul of a spirit enter the mother's womb?
Yes, because they used to believe like at 5 months, where they call fluttering.
Yeah, the quickening.
Yeah,
that's what they used to call it, and that's what Silver Birch said, that the soul enters at the quickening, because they were asking, particularly in the context of abortions and in the context of losing children, at what point can you say this is no longer just a bit of cellular material, but there's an actual soul of somebody in that womb?
And and sometimes this could all link up to previous incarnations, couldn't it? And perhaps sometimes it's been known that little ones that haven't come to the earth, they've come to save the mother, then they pass.
Yeah, and this is like when you say the soul enters the womb. Okay, that's how Silver Birch worded it. So the soul doesn't start in the womb. We don't start in the womb. The fact that we've entered a womb suggests to me that we've lived before. So we've come from the spirit world into the mother's womb, and from this life into another womb, possibly, or a period of time in the spirit world before we do that. So the children come trailing clouds of glory, as Wordsworth said. We come ready-made almost. We come with all sorts of qualities to ourselves already. Do miscarriages always have a soul attached to them?
I think they do, personally, and I believe that babies choose their earth mothers.
Yeah, and I think when you say that, though, I think the timing, depends how long into a pregnancy would the quickening start then? I don't know.
Well, they say 5 months.
So within 5 months, would that be the time they call the quickening?
Yes.
So that would be the time when the soul has entered the
because you've got the development. They've got to have a heart.
So before that, probably unlikely. I would have thought that the soul has entered that's kind of what spiritualists say and believe. But it comes also through the point that you're getting evidential mediumship to back this up, really. So it's not just people thinking about it or supposing. So with a miscarriage, then I suppose, quite often people have had miscarriages and they've asked about these things, and invariably we're told, like Jane said earlier, that you kind of have the child is brought up in the spirit world. They're brought up from childhood into adulthood, but when they show themselves to the medium, invariably they show themselves as they were at the time. So they would show themselves as a baby, or as you knew them, or as the child of the age that you knew them.
And sometimes the psychic artist would actually draw them what they look like in the afterlife.
Yeah. But for example, I think normally what happens, supposing, I've had cases where people have lost children, the child's come through at 6 years old, and you described them as 6 years old, and you give all the details about their life as 6 years old. You give proofs like, you know, what boots they wore and the toys they played with, what they were buried with sometimes, and things like that,
Yeah.
don't we? And then it gives the proof, and then the person says, oh, but they died 10 years ago, so they won't be 6 now. But the thing is, they show themselves as you knew them.
That's right.
You know,
that's true.
because time here and time in the spirit is also different.
Time goes so quickly here. Time in the afterlife, it prolongs, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, I think time in the I've been listening to some fantastic audio books about what is the meaning, what is time. But the more you understand what a weird thing time is, the reason you can, it makes perfect sense that time is different in different places.
Now that's what I think I've answered that. Kindred Spirit says, do we select our parents before we are born? Yes, sometimes we do, because you know the guy that owned the Hard Rock Cafe?
Yeah,
yeah. Well, he used to think, I can't possibly have been born in this family, because they were quite wealthy, his family. And I believe the story was that he lost a brother drowned or something like that. And I'm going to lose my thread now. But he wanted to do good things while he was here, and he came on the spiritual pathway. So he believes he was reincarnated. That's why his attachment to India.
I think we do kind of. I don't know if we actually how much choice we get in it, because I think a lot of it's dependent upon things such as our karma. Because I think we have group souls, we have connections, in this life. I mean, you'll find certain people connect with you straight away. Not necessarily always family, but it might be friends and things and people you meet, people you marry, there's connections with. And I think those connections come from previous lives. So it makes sense that when a child is born, that they're born to a family that they're kind of meant to be with.
Well, even adopted children go with families they're meant to be with.
And because your karma is tied, it's not always just necessarily always a link of love. Because you might be born into a family with your enemies, because you have to work that karma out in this life, you know. And so it's a good idea to be nice to everybody,
isn't it, Craig? Isn't it?
Next time round, you don't know what you're going to get. You know, you might find.
You chose the family you were born into.
Yeah, I think we all. But I think we kind of have a bit of a choice in it, because but it's almost like a fait accompli. You make the choice, but you don't make the choice. It's like you're going to get it anyway, but you willingly go with what you know your higher self knows that it's got to be in that particular situation, you know. So but when people lose children, you know, when people lose children early on, it's one of the most heartbreaking and also one of the most uplifting things you can do as a medium too, because you know, a lot of people come to see you for readings and they want to know about career and they want to know about what they're going to do next and all these things in life, you know. But when someone comes and they've lost a child, and you can give proof that that child is there in the spirit, I think with both our work, it's the most uplifting part of what we do, really, and most inspired. Don't you think?
You've got to have compassion in your soul as well for doing this work. And the thing is, it's so nice when little ones come through to connect with their parents, because how can a woman give birth to a baby and then suddenly lose that child? You're never going to get over it. But if a child, say 5 or 6, you've grown to know that soul, haven't you? Had 6 years. But if it's a little baby, though you've still got attachment and love. I mean, it's hard, isn't it?
It's hard on all levels, I think, because all the hope and expectation, you know, rooms done up and ready, particularly they lose them late, you know, and they got your cot all there and you go in. What a tremendous level of grief it must be, you know, when all the preparation that goes in for a birth and the terrible loss of, you know, I mean, the people we've seen that have lost children, heartbreaking to see them die.
Well, didn't the doctor say, we don't know if you can save your wife or your baby, didn't they?
They said that to you, at one point about you, because they didn't know what it was going to be, and then it worked out as okay. So we didn't quite go through it, but we were very close with that with Danielle.
I had major surgery.
Yeah, you had to have you had an ovarian cyst the size of a melon. He said it's the biggest he's ever seen. It's made of hair and teeth. you know,
Yeah,
that's
monster.
obviously from my side of the family, which they had to take out, and it's a kind of an unformed baby that is actually, in a funny sort
Well,
of
not
straight thing.
necessary.
It's genetic
benign.
of some sort,
Yeah.
but yeah. So these things happen, and they're very scary for people. But also, I think it gives people a lot of comfort to know that that baby, or that child, still knows that their earthly mother. You know, they still know that their earthly mother is here, and so there's the love connection, even though they're being.
And it affects men too, not
Oh
just
yeah,
mothers. It's
yeah,
just important
and
to mention
father.
men.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I think it's harder. It's hard. Well, it's hard for both actually. But
Yeah,
it's,
well, babies are miracles, aren't they?
and yeah, so we got another question come up here. What about test tube babies or babies born through surrogacy? How is soul attaching with the body?
Well,
That's an interesting question.
what was that baby? Brown, her name was. That was created in a test tube, and they told her the truth when she got to a certain age, didn't they?
Yeah, I think the test tube, whatever way the body is created, my opinion on it, but I don't know if we could ever give a definitive answer to that question, is it's the soul connection that matters. And that would also include the surrogacy. Because the person, if that baby is meant to go with the earthly mother, then presumably that it's the soul connection, that the mother of the person that takes on the baby, as opposed to the soul of the baby and brings that baby up, that's where the connection is, and that's where they're meant to be, because that's where the karma's connected, isn't it? So even though the surrogate mother has walked away and had to sort of break from it,
it's quite a courageous thing to do when you think of it, isn't it? Really,
what, being a surrogate?
Yes.
Yeah. But I think the same, it would still be that person's baby, even though it's not genetic. It would be connected by the soul.
Yeah, very hard.
Because my understanding is that, you know, the soul connects with the person. You know, that's where the network comes. I think a lot of people would probably find it a bit strange, the idea of someone growing up in the spirit world.
Well, do you know, years ago when I was in nurse, they used to have babies in bottles and that, and for like medical reasons and that, didn't do anything with them, like stems and things like that. And I often used to wonder if that little soul, when they grew, what they would look like.
Yeah, I remember. Do
you think you come out of a bottle, Craig?
I remember. I used to work at the hospital when they were building it. Yeah. We used to sit in our sandwiches in the sample room. Anyway, but the idea of growing in spirit is something I think is quite an interesting idea, because I often talk about when we go to the spirit world, we can be whatever age we want to be, that we take on this idea of being like our primal soul. You know, there's like a part of ourselves that is the higher self, and we can become that higher self and remember our past lives and all the rest of it. So therefore, in order for a person to become a baby and grow and go through the process of growth in the spirit world, that soul would have to put aside its kind of primal soul, if you see what I mean. You know, that you would have to almost have an artificial world within a world within the spirit world for that to happen. I mean, it's something I was thinking about. I think is you know, because when we think, what is the spirit world like? So in a way, you kind of have to dream what would have been your earthly life in the spirit world.
Well, they believe that babies, when they go on the other side in the higher realms, they can be shelved.
Shelved?
Well, yes. And that's, you know, when they go over, they have to have a lot of healing on them, because say if a baby died of a congenital heart condition, or you had, say, a Down syndrome's baby and things, they have to grow, because even children with handicaps that gone over, they go back perfect.
Yeah. This is quite nice from Nirvana, which is an interesting name to have. Hey man, light upon light. I heard from Dolores Cannon that some reincarnate into animals or rocks. Is that possible?
I've never heard of that.
Well, I'm afraid I have very little time for Dolores Cannon.
I've never heard that.
So I think Dolores Cannon's work is absolute fantasy, as far as I'm concerned. Now, they say when a person incarnates, well, this is the theory is that once you go up the ladder, you can't go back down again when it comes to development of your consciousness, because the evolution is always up. Now, even those that have done bad things in the world and they go down again, it's only a temporary blip from them. So even the most wicked people in the world will still get a second chance, because all the time it's a
that's
continual
nonsense.
process.
How can a human being turn into a rock?
Yeah.
And
also,
animals, how can
we
they
don't
do
once
that?
once we've hit the human level, according to spiritualism, that we move on to, we continue in the human form. Now, the Buddhists believe that that human birth is a very precious thing, and that it's very rare to be born in the human form. And they, for example, if they're digging the ground, would be very, very careful not to kill any worms, because that worm could have been your mother.
They don't kill spiders or anything. That goes back to
any living
yeah,
thing.
well, that goes back to an old saying, doesn't it? If you want to stay alive, then let a spider run alive.
Yeah, well, probably because Buddha himself, I reckon, was probably a Jain originally, from Jainism. I think, and that's where some of his ideas, I think, came from. But that's another idea. But they say that we've had so many millions of incarnations that every person could have at some point been your mother.
The Chinese believe that people can turn into animals, can be a pig and things
that's
like
how they believe. But my thoughts are that once you've developed consciousness, once you've taken the human form, that you will continue in the human form. And sometimes maybe people have to temporarily live in another form if they've been absolutely wicked, so they might have to sort of work that karma out on an insect level or something. But I think basically my thought is, once you're on that human track, and that level of consciousness, then you're on the way. So we are very, very lucky to be born human, because we could be born in any form whatsoever, really. But my thought is that it's always an upward path towards consciousness. Yes. So
is this saying a baby born into a rock in animals?
Yeah, well, Dolores Cannon. I mean, what I've read about and seen of that, I just thought a lot of this trancey stuff gets a bit silly sometimes. It's same within spiritualism too. Some of the stuff you read, you've got to be discerning. I'm a registered nurse, and I used to work in a neonatal intensive care unit. We saved most, but it was very sad when a baby dies for staff and family.
It must be.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I've got a friend that's a midwife, and she always says a prayer for little ones when they die, because especially for a mother going all through that 9 months and got nothing to show for it.
And I remember, I think it was when you were in, was it with something else? Was it when? But we had to. I remember the child in the people lost the baby in the bed next to us or something.
That was a miscarriage.
That was a miscarriage. But I remember they lost the baby. Someone lost the baby. I remember we went in. I can't remember.
She was 6 weeks.
Someone was being. There might have been one of the grandchildren being born, but it was. Oh, shocking! The look on those parents' faces still haunts me now. I mean, it was really.
That,
yeah, I maybe you didn't see it because I was in there. I spotted those people that had lost the baby just as we were celebrating a birth. I can't remember. It might have been Harry's birth or something like that. But I remember seeing that, and the loss, the shock. And of course, this is where, when you start doing this work, when you do give messages to people from the platform or face to face, and you've taken some of that weight off them. But I don't think you can ever take the weight off for the loss of a child. Actually, my uncle Gordon, he lost a child early on. It haunted him his whole life. Well,
my auntie had to give. She had a baby that was inside her that died, and she had to go through a full birth.
Yeah.
There's lots of people that have suffered.
So all this, it even makes one kind of sympathetic to people like Meghan Markle.
Markle.
You got me saying it wrong all the time.
That German woman would be after you. What is this? You're saying I'm pregnant? You swine.
So it got me confused.
It did take a lot.
Can't get my head around it.
Well, it's strange. People are saying it's strange that it's suddenly come out now, and this was meant to have happened in July, but then. Sometimes people deal with it on different levels, don't they?
Yeah.
And it must have been heartbreaking for them.
It must have been pretty hard.
I don't know why people are so, hate campaign in that, but I think it's because they're thinking of Diana's
A lot of
son.
people don't even believe she had a baby in the first instance. There's all sorts of stuff on the web about it. But anyway, let's have a look at this one. Mary here is asking, I've heard that if someone commits suicide as an adult, it means that you get a short life in the next incarnation. What is your opinion about that? I don't know. I could only give an opinion. I couldn't give you anything that I could say was absolutely definite on something like that. But I would have thought that you would have definitely had, you see, what I believe is that our previous life determines a lot of the things and stages that happened in this life. So if we developed spiritually at a certain point in a previous life, we would develop at a similar time at this life. It's like we're a plant of many flowers, and those flowers all open at specific times. And that's determined upon what happened before in a previous existence, but that opportunity comes round again. So, for example, in my earlier life, I was absolutely mad keen on painting. There was nothing I wanted to do except be an artist. And then my life moved on. So that might have connected with a previous life that had where I'd been an artist, and then the next life might be something else, become a writer. The next life, something where you've maybe been spiritual or something, whatever. So if a person had put that dramatic point into their life, a sudden death as suicide, I would have thought they would probably have a point in their next life where they could possibly die or nearly die.
Well,
Would you say that sort of thing?
Well, I think suicidals, they don't go into the lower realms, if you like, because sometimes they use their own free will, don't they? Sometimes people are stopped, and sometimes people feel it's their time to pass over.
Now, Clara's got an interesting one here. A lot of people believe Markle made this one up, as she is a known liar. Now, actually, I predicted at the beginning of this year, I don't know if you remember, I made a prediction that this year she would have a baby. As it happened, she didn't have a baby, did she? But she lost the baby. So she must have been pregnant at the time I made prediction.
She will have another baby.
We said she's going to have another one, and we think it's going to be soon. But I said at the beginning in 2019 for my predictions for 2020, I said, if you look at the one on the royalty predictions, I said that she would have a baby this year.
The thing is with Meghan,
she did. But she's
been an actress. People don't believe her because they think she's attention seeking.
Yeah, unfortunately, she is such an actress that that a lot of people don't even believe that she had a baby with Archie and all the rest of it. That was all these fake.
Oh, she did.
Fake ones they talk. So there's a lot of crazy stuff out there.
Well, why was the royal family, the Queen, and that?
I think that's just that one's for the that's from Mars, that one. But I can understand how people would think she could have made up the fact that she'd had that, and she's a known liar. But I don't think when you look at her reactions talking about it, what did you think? Do you think she looked genuine?
I think there's a lot going on in her life, and I think really Harry is absolutely besotted with her, isn't he?
I personally think she's a very mixed up person, actually, who has a lot of hidden agendas, and I think she's done a great deal of harm to the royal family, Britain itself, really, and
she wants to be a film star.
Yeah, at first I was so pleased. We said this before when we were talking about that. I was really pleased when they brought people in, were completely racially different and everything like that. Fantastic. That the royal family needed some proper blood in it, really, rather than all into breeding like they do, And I thought it was a wonderful thing that she came along. But then what a disappointment she turned out to be, didn't she? Because she just seemed to be more interested in becoming a film star.
Well, that's not true, Eden, because actually, me being a woman, and you've not had a baby yourself personally, you could see the shape of her when she brought Archie
I know these
out.
videos. I mean, the stomach literally re-inflates. I know why. I can understand why people wonder.
Nonsense. You've only got to look at that baby. He's got ginger hair like Harry. He's double. And all through the Spencer family,
I can kind of see why people say these things, but I think we get a bit. Surely we get a bit carried away with that idea. But I know a lot of you do think that. A lot of people out there do think she faked it. But no, I don't believe. No, I don't believe that for a moment. I just don't think you could get away with it. She could have possibly faked up the idea I had a miscarriage, but there must be medical evidence of that effect. you know. So I think we've probably got to give her the benefit of the dates with it. Have you seen the videos of Meghan's pregnant belly fall to her knees? And no, I haven't seen that.
I don't think we've been that privileged, have we?
I'll have to have a look out for it. They'll put a link in the comments later on when you
No,
finish,
you wouldn't.
because I'd have to have a look. Yeah.
The surgeons and things like that would have to be present. The Queen's surgeon and everything, wouldn't they, for delivery babies and that?
Yeah. She's I love animals. I love animals. Oh, you twice as much, eh? I've seen them all. Notice the doctors didn't sign the announcement, didn't they? Lots of new stuff to me here. Actually, I didn't notice that. Didn't know about that. Yeah, she's going to certainly cause. She's certainly caused a lot of havoc, hasn't she? Really, and I think, you know, I mean, she's not going to stay with that Harry eventually. I can't see that Harry, even though he's besotted with her, he'd be heartbroken.
He will be.
He'd be heartbroken by her.
I mean, when she married him, she wanted to get him away immediately, didn't she?
And she's always got her arm on him.
On hold, won't let him go.
Won't let go of him, will she?
No.
As if she's, and it's almost like her body language is saying, you know, you will not escape.
You see what she's done? She's trying to say that she's like Princess Diana and compassion and everything.
Yeah.
And she's playing on Harry.
And that's why Harry, of course, he's seeing his mother there, isn't he? He's thinking, you know, but unfortunately she's not nothing like
See,
Diana.
years ago, she wouldn't be allowed to marry in the royal family. You'd had to come from an aristocratic background.
Yeah, I think it would have been nice, though, particularly her being American. I think was great. But, you know, it just went so disastrously wrong, didn't it? Amanda Ellis, through her tarot readings and channeling in Meteron, said Harry will return to the UK along with the divorces coming up.
I think we all know that.
Yeah.
I don't think you have to be psychic to know that.
Well, I think there's definitely going to be a divorce there. Definitely.
Not yet.
But when it's going to be, I think he'll hold on there for quite some time yet. And he'll, and I think he'll come back to the UK.
I think he'll leave her. It won't be the other way around.
Yeah,
I think he'll leave her. But you see, that baby's got royal blood that runs through its veins, so she won't be able to hold on to it.
Look at the sacrifices Harry's made in order to do this.
Shame, isn't it?
I mean, he loved his role
regiment
as the sort of the symbol of the army. I mean, the army looked to him as their mascot, didn't they? He was like the real figurehead, and he loved it, and he got on so well, and he helped all those people that were disabled from the wars and things like that. Really good man, Harry is, you know, and everybody wanted him to be king instead of William for a long time, didn't they? They thought, oh, Harry's got to be the king. We skip the generation, you know. But, you know, unfortunately, you know, he ends up marrying a film star and then ends up going on.
Film star.
Well, she wants to be
She's an actress.
Star, and now they're going to go on to Netflix, and God knows what they'll come up with. Do you think Meghan is the victim of closet racism?
No. Do you?
Well, I don't think she is. I know a lot of people say, "Oh, if you have a go at her, you're being racist." Because
well, they could say the same about us, couldn't they? People would be racist against us being psychic and different things. They could be, you know.
I don't think race. I mean, perhaps for some people there's a racist element, but that would have come out before she married Harry, really, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And she seemed to be embraced by the British people.
I think she's a very pretty girl myself.
Right from the start, you know. Everybody welcomed her.
Well, look how they treated.
As far as I could see,
look how they treated Wallace Simpson. How the awful.
She had more stick than ever, didn't she?
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
they treated her in a dreadful way. I mean, the royal family have not come out very well, really, particularly with this Netflix stuff that's been on.
Well, they had,
which I think's been a bit too cruel.
No, they did have people put away in asylums. That's true.
Yeah, they had all sorts.
And they had Prince John put away because he had.
Oh, well, they brought all the stuff out of the closet for that program.
Because they're Germans, really, aren't they?
Yeah, they're not really British at all, are they? Really? So, I mean, we could be anti-German over it. I mean, over the
no, people who don't matter what
during the war, they had to change their name to Windsor, didn't they? Because they weren't. It
doesn't
Windsor
matter
before.
what race or creed or what colour you are. You're human beings. As far as I'm concerned.
I think the royal family really hate Meghan and Harry. It makes you think that what on earth are they up to? Yeah, I think that's probably right. I expect the Queen probably hates her by now.
I don't think the Queen would hate Harry, they're not being used to a strong-willed girl,
they
have
probably
they?
probably hate Meghan,
Yeah.
and William's fallen out with them too. I mean, Harry and
Shame,
William
yeah.
were so close. I
Yeah.
mean, they seem to be such a dignified couple that they're coming across better than anybody.
Well,
you
I
know,
think
they're coming across,
I think she
better than the Queen.
super queen.
Could you imagine if Meghan and Harry were
off with your head, Craig?
This is a future king and queen. I mean, would you want Queen Meghan? I don't think there's anything prejudice in it. I just think her as a person, people don't. I don't think people like the fact that she's she's got Hollywood and her own personal ambitions are put ahead of what should be doing something for the country.
Yeah.
Jamie's here saying, I had thanks for the donation, Jamie. That's nice of you. I had a dream I was a foreign land and was speaking a foreign language, very, very lucid. Could this be a remembrance of a former life and a memory?
Could be.
Yeah, well, that's the exoglossy, they call this, don't they? They call this exoglossy, that you get sometimes people have spoken languages they don't know. I've mentioned this in other videos we've done when we talked about this sort of thing. But I've seen people that I know couldn't speak certain languages speak it under trance and hypnosis.
Yeah, they have, haven't they? Old English and things.
Old French. This was I quoted the other week. But so it could well be. It could well be,
isn't it?
And it makes you wonder whether when babies, that we're talking about babies coming into the womb, the soul coming into the womb at the quickening and things we talked about there, didn't we? That maybe we bring our knowledge of previous languages with us, and some people find it easy to speak certain languages and harder to speak other languages because maybe they still got the residual memories of previous languages in their mind. But I couldn't have been in India because my Sanskrit pronunciations are laughable sometimes, so I get told. Well, Jason's from bleary-eyed Jason in Australia, who's got up really early, says Charles and Camilla have been through way more than Meghan. And what should poor Wallace Simpson say? Yes.
Yeah, that was all. Well, when you think of it, Princess Margaret, they didn't let her marry Peter Townsend, and that, so she suffered as well, didn't she?
Yeah.
We've all suffered on different levels.
I mean, it's a pretty much of a curse being part of the royal family in some ways. And first of all, they get spoilt and become like Charles, want everybody to do everything for him and things. But then at the same time, you pay a high price for that.
All I can say, it's a good job they're not in Henry VIII's time, because off with their heads.
And Charles and Camilla are actually, Camilla's not liked generally because of the Diana thing. If Diana had never been there and he'd married Camilla straight away and there hadn't been all this messing around and he'd just married Camilla, we'd probably have a completely different view. They
wouldn't have allowed it because Camilla Parker Bowles was a lady that's been around and the royal family didn't approve of it.
No, that was the problem.
He had to marry a virgin to produce her hair.
The problem was he didn't let go. She didn't let go of him, did she? She kept at it
from both sides.
Yeah.
Not just her,
but they've had a lot more troubles than Meghan and that. I mean, I think Meghan and Harry's troubles have only just begun, really. In a way, they're kind of safe in America in some ways.
Are they?
But, I just think Harry will just not take to that way of life. It's so far removed from the patriotism he's been brought up with.
I feel sorry for the Queen, actually, because, and Charles in a way, because it's a great-grandchild. And grandson.
It's quite interesting.
Denied.
We're kind of going off the topic from the psychic thing, but I think everybody's interested in these type of topics, aren't they? Because it's public at the moment and in the news.
I think you're right, Agility.
Yeah, I think Harry is afraid of Meghan because would suffer the same fate as his mother if they stayed in the UK. Yeah, I think
she's played on that.
Yeah, and she probably has. Yeah,
played on that.
And Harry, I don't know when
sensitive.
I see pictures of him. There seems to be a certain amount of confusion in his eyes. You can tell a lot about a person from their eyes. And I look at him and it looks like uncertainty in his eyes. Not uncertainty necessarily with Meghan, but more uncertainty with who he is. He's lost who he is, hasn't he?
Well,
he's lost everything he represents.
She's coming as Mother Protector in a way, isn't she? Mother Earth, sort of protecting. He's getting her interested on a spiritual
He's had to take all his dreams, throw them away to do her dreams. It's very one-sided when you think about it. It's what she's wanted right from the word go. But he's had to give up absolutely everything he believes in. I just don't think that's a formula for disaster, really. Absolute disaster. I mean, everybody has to give up something when they get married, because you've got to find some compromises, you know, and then people kind of work it out, and you end up finding that you're all happy, because you can find your outlets come in different ways. But when it's all one-sided, like she's doing there, it's just a recipe for disaster. He can only go along with that for so many years, you know. And they've had this tragedy with this loss of a child that can put a lot of pressure on a relationship sometimes. Now, if it keeps happening, or a child, supposing they have a child that's born that's got problems or disabled or something like that, something like that could maybe happen to them. I get the feeling something might go wrong.
Well, I
there.
hope it doesn't.
I really don't want to will these things, because that's the problem. We worry you're going to push us all into a timeline where those things happen. But I think it's like the karma there is such that it's not all going to be plain
to have 3 children. So she has lost a baby, and there's another one to come, and that's it.
Yeah. You see, when you do these selfish things like she's doing there, you might think that it's all going to be fine and hunky-dory, but the problem is it brings karmic consequences. And I think because they are such an important focus of attention for the world, those karmic consequences could come in this lifetime, not be kicked forward into a future one. You know, I think they're bringing disaster upon themselves. That's what they've done, I think, is absolutely wrong. It's selfish. And they should have done it in a different way if they were going to do that. They just dumped it on everybody. We're off to America. We're going to sign this contract, you know, blow everybody else, even though they've had a good...
Suki.
I don't think the Queen doesn't like Meghan, overconfident personality, and maybe her political ideas and agenda.
Well, the Queen's got to be neutral in everything, hasn't she?
So she's saying that she doesn't necessarily dislike Meghan herself. It's just her overconfidence.
Well, I think Meghan sees herself as some form of world leader for women, doesn't she? Women's rights.
I think the Queen has obviously had to become much more tolerant from when they were with Diana. You know, I mean, that really did draw the faults of the royal family into the limelight, didn't it? More than ever before. But the Queen has to tolerate all sorts of political differences, doesn't she? I mean, every prime minister is going to have a different view. You know, you get a really left-wing prime minister like Harold Wilson or Callaghan. She knew all those, but she had to treat those the same as if she treated with you know, Edward Heath or Tony Blair, or they're all different views, aren't they? Margaret Thatcher, you know, she would have so I don't think the Queen would be upset by political views, Suki. I don't think you're right there, but maybe she didn't like the overconfidence, because I mean the royal family is all about conforming, isn't it? You know, you're not allowed.
Don't you remember about the tiara? She's in a tiara. And Harry said, what Meghan wants, Meghan gets, because she wanted a tiara with an emerald in it. And the Queen stepped in and said, Meghan will not get what she wants.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
Do you remember that?
Yeah. God.
There's more to come, yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting how it goes, isn't it, with them all there and that. I mean, so would you like to be a royal? I don't think I'd really like to be that way of life. It's too conformist for me. You know,
well, I like Princess Anne because I must say she works hard. I like her.
And the problem is everything you do in life, even the most personal things like losing a baby, it's all over the front pages of everything, no matter what happens.
Perhaps she needed to talk. Some women do need to talk. They can't just brush it under the carpet.
I wish she'd just change and get a chance to
I think
be different. I
think she should have stayed here first, because she had all Frogmore Cottage all altered and then never lived there.
Yeah, I think her agenda was right the way from the start. You know, I marry him and change him. First thing women want to do is change the man they marry, and then they wonder why
you better
change.
You better change then, and you
you
don't lift your finger.
You know? You're not the man I married. Of course I'm not. You tried to change me. Eden Beaver saying, I have to compliment the two of you. Thank you very much. We won't read any more because it might be a but. Even though what you're saying,
sweet,
that many of us know she was never pregnant with Archie. You're not putting us down for it. Great admiration for both for that. Yeah, well, thanks. Well, we try to be kind of tolerant, you know. Ban him, Domenico, ban him, press that ban button. Yeah, yeah. Obviously, we.
Actually, there was another member of the royal family. I don't know if it was Princess Kent. I think she had quite a few miscarriages and lost a baby. So there has been sadness in the royal family.
Yeah, I mean, I bet there's been some usurpers to the throne in the past, because there's two princes that were killed and put under the steps, wasn't there, going back in history?
The Tower of London.
Yeah, all that, you know. I mean, the bloodline, I reckon, has been compromised loads of times down the line. I expect somewhere for forced pregnancies and things, and courtiers being the fathers of kings and queens.
Because I think Meghan is into yoga, because her mother's a yoga teacher.
Yeah, all positive stuff.
And also got a spiritual side
Yeah.
and diets and things like that. And I think because his mother was so much into it, I think that was like an attraction too.
Yeah, so because Diana would have been, well, Diana was very into the idea of healing and spirituality. I mean, she helped bring it a bit more mainstream, and astrology and all that,
Yeah,
didn't she?
of course, yeah.
So when Harry probably saw those qualities in her, he was trying to marry his mother, wasn't he?
Mm.
Christine, when a royal passes over, are they still royal, or do they reincarnate into something different?
I don't think it makes any. It doesn't make any difference if somebody's a prince, a princess. It makes no difference whatsoever, and they don't come back as a royal line because they've had lessons to learn while they're here. So they're all treated the same.
Yeah, I mean, there's quite a few interesting mediumistic messages that have come through from the royal family. Now, there's been an awful lot of nonsense, modern day particularly, of people that sort of channel all this sort of stuff and say things and nonsense. But there was some very good, interesting stuff done going back through the history of spiritualism, in which the royal family themselves sat with mediums.
Queen Mother.
Yeah, and many of them, Victoria did, and things like that. And so there was evidence given, there was proof. Like I say, you can't just pull someone out.
Or John Brown, Queen Victoria's medium.
But I know that some of the messages said, just to come back to the question I'm thinking here, because some of the messages said that when you go into the spirit world, you're not recognized as being royal or high status or anything like that. Just like you're saying, because you are just like, you're seen for what your soul is.
What work you've done here.
Yeah, and who you are. So the goodness in you is seen. The good and the bad is seen. Not who you were, what you were, because that's irrelevant once you get to the spirit world, you know. So that, and probably your identity might not even be known to people. Perhaps it's only known as you as a soul person, you know. So anyway, so that's yeah.
Is there another one?
I watched 3 psychic readings saying she didn't have a miscarriage. But, you know, the question we have to ask there, what are those psychic readings? Like I say, you can't, people, so many people and mediums nowadays.
It never used to be, did they?
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about the days before mediumship was well known, when it was illegal almost. It would just come, you know, it wasn't allowed to be shown on TV, and it was uncool to be a medium, you know, and you had to not tell people that you were a spiritualist in case people thought you weird. Now things have changed. But nowadays everybody's a medium, and the problem is they give readings that don't give, well, they're shallow, but they don't give any evidence and proof. You have to have the people with you. So if you're going to have anything that can prove that it was you know, psychic reading of that, such as prove it was a miscarriage, I mean, you've got to have a person with you to give the spirit connection. I mean, yes, we're getting stuff where we say, I've picked this up, I feel that. If we were sat around this table now and we had with us a few members of the royal family, and we were able to give links from the spirit world, we could prove beyond doubt things that were said, you know, like we did with the Spirit of Diana seances, because we had, you know, royal people with
we travelled with Princess Diana's royal secretary.
Just because lots of psychics say one thing don't mean it's true.
That's right.
You know, and all of us psychics get things wrong sometimes, rarely, but sometimes, you know. So those are all sort of things to be taken into consideration, really. So when your soul has done its karmic lessons, do they go to a different realm, or do you reincarnate?
It depends. If you've learnt your lessons here, some people reincarnate, come back to help others. Some don't come back because all the work's been completed on the earth plane.
A point comes when you don't have to reincarnate anymore. My understanding is that initially when you die, there's an intermediate period of maybe a few days where you're very closely connected to the earth, and that's when we start to sometimes see people or things move and things like that. Then all of us pass into the spirit realms and stay there. And we stay there until our group soul of all the other people we're connected with join us. Unless we're completely unattached and we're like a holy man that has gone beyond any connections and attachments of the world, that might be different the way they move forward. But for the normal person, you can interconnect with all those people you love. You stay in the spirit world for a period of time, and time is an unusual thing there. We have to talk about that in detail. And then you incarnate again, and usually incarnate with others that are important to you karmically and part of your group soul. In fact, it's all in my book, Messages from the Universe.
Gosh.
No, it's not. It's What to Do When You're Dead.
There you go, Mr. Confused.
There's 2 books. Because if you're interested in this, so we've gone into quite a lot of detail in What to Do When You're Dead. It's a new cover, actually, that was done by Domenico with a nice photograph he did. But we talk about children in there, talk about some of the stories of people that have come to see us who have had experiences of mediumship to prove life after death and so on. So you can buy my books, and you can get them through Amazon if you just type it in. It's great Christmas presents to give to people. And I think
But do it before you're dead.
Yeah.
Do it before you're dead.
Yeah. It also tells a few of the stories in the background of things that have happened in Jane and my life. You know, this was originally published in America but I've republished it now on Amazon. But yeah, it's I think it's one of my best, actually. I enjoyed that book. It was a good book. So follow us and don't forget to like the page, and also if you're on Facebook, like and share it, which also helps us to reach more people.
Okay.
And do follow us, please. And we're going to have your last questions soon. And if you really like all this stuff, you know, if you become a patron or one of the top tier patrons, as it were, I'm doing Zoom readings on there. So we're going to be doing some Zoom stuff on Patreon. If you're a patron watching this now, come and join me on Monday, because I'll be doing teaching a little bit about I Ching and how that works, and be asking the oracle some questions. So that'll be on the patron pages. So come and have a look if you're interested. So thanks all the patrons, particularly because you help us to be able to make this possible, and are helping us, once this virus is out the way, to get for the first stage of a centre together, that we're going to have a sort of a studio type of setting. And you'll see it when it happens. We've got some great ideas for all that. Okay, last questions. Hi, Craig. Where does your knowledge of the afterlife come from? From souls of the dead? Because scientists say it can all be in the mind to deal with death. Okay, so yeah, so basically what you're saying is that a lot of the scientists think that all this idea of going down a tunnel, for example, is the firing of the loads and the release of the endorphins in the brain and its psychological effects, and that people try to kind of wish that there was life after death, and therefore make things fit. No, that's kind of what they say. But basically, you know, it's only when you start seeing mediums and proper mediums, and you start getting what me and Jane have been talking about, which is proof and evidence, then you'll understand that whatever the scientists say don't make no difference whatsoever, because you've been given a message that is irrefutable proof of life after death.
Doctors, Dr. Moody, and doctors at Southampton General have given proof of patients that have died and come back and explained about the afterlife.
Yeah,
and I found it incredible.
Yeah, and when you take all this information that has come through readings, come through proof of life after death, through particularly all those type of medical things, when you take all of it as a whole, and you take the whole body of evidence, there's absolute proof that there's life after death. And those scientists that are still stuck in this material mindset and won't go beyond it, well, they're the losers, because they're only seeing the world in this Newtonian way. They're not understanding the vast world of consciousness that we can connect with through our own consciousness and can prove through mediumship. So, that's where the evidence comes. So I say to the scientists, study the evidence, and study the evidence as a whole, the collective proof of it. It's not something you can say, this is you can't. They're using the wrong tools to try to understand these things. We're talking about consciousness and our ability to give evidence. Just like you could hang someone on the basis of human testimony and evidence, it's by examining the evidence that you find the truth. Why isn't your book translated to Norwegian?
You've got it all over the world translated.
I can't speak Norwegian.
Skål! I can. Skål!
My books were translated before because I'm publishing them now through Amazon because I've got the rights back, so I put them back on via Amazon. When they were with Barnes and Noble, Barnes and Noble sold rights to other countries on my behalf, and Norway wasn't one that picked it up.
Iceland did though, didn't they?
Iceland picked it. It's in Icelandic, but that's a bit too far from Norwegian. Close. So anyway, we're starting to say goodbye to people now. So thanks for all joining us. Thank you both for your time. Have a lovely weekend. Yes, it's nice of you to come to us, particularly so many of you coming regularly like you are. Tell your friends about it. Share this site so that others can join. Thank you both. Namaste. Thank you, Jan. Thank you for joining us. It's really kind of you all to come.
It's all come like
it's all
family,
about quantum
isn't it?
physics, mathematics. I remember that study in Southampton. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, quantum physics is almost consciousness explained, when you start looking at it. We look at the world and we think it's all very easy to understand. But what is time, for example, when you look at quantum physics? What is time? What's the smallest division of time you can get? It's time when, what is now?
Agility bits.
Sorry.
You have a lovely weekend too.
Yeah.
It's going to be quite cold.
Yeah, have a lovely weekend. I think we've got a cold weekend ahead here in the UK. Anyway, bye from Germany. Bye. See you later then. Franco, books. I've fallen out with Amazon. Do you sell elsewhere? No, sorry. You might be able to get second-hand ones through eBay. You get some of them on there, but I'm only selling through Amazon nowadays. Unfortunately, I can understand people falling out with Amazon because they have become a bit of a monopoly, haven't they? Have a nice weekend. I hope to get them on audiobooks later too. Yes, okay, Fleming, thank you for that. And thank you, Sally, for joining us again. I won't make any funny comments about Sally.
Don't.
And
Melissa,
thanks for joining us. Yeah, so don't forget, every Friday we're doing these.
Christine.
Every Friday at 7 o'clock UK time, right? And if you really want to keep in touch, we'll keep putting more stuff on the Patreon site as well. So bye from you all, Gavi. So thank you all, guys. It's nice of you to keep coming in and joining us like this. And put some comments later on as well when we finish.
Yeah,
actually.
we still
Come
be
back
going
and,
up.
I read the comments and I look at your questions, and you might put in the comments section afterwards, because it sets the theme for what would you like us to talk about. If there's something you'd like to talk about, put it in the comments below. Okay, have a good weekend. Yes, and it's looking like we're beginning to sort of say goodbye to everyone, aren't we?
It goes so quickly, doesn't it?
It seems like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Keep warm and safe. Yes.
Yeah, you all keep safe too.
Yeah, well, hopefully we'll be out of this virus soon, and we can all start to meet up outside and things again. Thank you for bringing light to a world that sometimes seems very dark.
Oh, bless you.
Well, that's what we all have to do, isn't it? That's
Yeah.
what it's all about. All trying to bring our little bit of light to, and many candles will become like 1,000 suns eventually. Thank you, Jane. Thank you, Craig. Your insights are generally greatly appreciated. Thank you. Have a good weekend. And thanks for your questions too, because you've all been putting some, pretty good and interesting questions there tonight, I must say. Lovely live streams. Blessings. Thank you, Jason. You come quite regularly, I know. And it's nice that you were able to make it live this time. And Carolyn here is saying, have a good weekend. Love you guys.
Yeah, we love all you.
The praise. I'm sure Domenico's not picking up all the nice questions, all the nice comments here. Not the horrible ones.
He works hard.
Brought the mysteries from the Messages from the Universe book. Yeah, that's one of my favorites actually. That one and What to Do When You're Dead. This one, this is the other one. Those two, I think, are two of the best.
Angela,
actually.
it's like a lovely name, Angela Love.
And Psychic Protection's a good book too. Love and blessings from Angel Love. Wishing you both a lovely weekend.
Yeah, we wish you a lovely weekend
wishing
too.
you a lovely weekend. So thanks for joining us, guys. It's nice. Don't forget, you keep following the channel, because if you follow this channel, you'll also be able to pick up any of the rest of our stuff that we do. So we're going to say goodbye to guys now.
Bye.
So thank you all. Thank you for joining us. See you soon. Bye for now.